Dealing with a locker thief in high school. This was back in the early 2000s, probably 2003 to 2004 school year. Throughout the entire year there was a crime wave of people having things stolen out of their locked lockers. Not everyone, but enough that everyone knew someone it happened to. The school's only defense about this was that it was our fault for sharing locker combos with our friends. They also charged us every time we had to get the combination changed on a locker, like after a theft for instance, because it was assumed to be our fault. Well, I had my graphing calculator taken out of my locker. I also never gave out my combination to anyone. Mostly because my friends were jackasses and we pulled shit on each other all the time. So I was out $150 for the calculator and another $150 to change the combination, getting a locksmith to change out the lock. This is 2003 money, so it's a bit more than now. To anyone who has ever had to buy a TI-86 in 2003 or 2004, you'll know how much the things cost. Well, my dad was drinking buddies with one of the county detectives. I'll call him Detective Buddy and/or Uncle Buddy. He went in to talk to the school about these string of thefts going on so he could get the security camera for the day my calculator went missing and got completely brushed off as it was a non-existent problem, and he must have given out his locker combination. The principal told him he would need a warrant to get the camera footage. Then when he got the warrant, the school fought the warrant in court citing student privacy. Cue the ProRevenge. Detective Buddy shows up at our house with a laptop in a laptop bag. He's like, throw this in your locker and tell everyone you know about your brand new laptop. Okay, sure, Uncle Buddy. 3 days later I show up at my locker between classes and the laptop is gone, the bag too, nowhere to be seen, as is a 24-ounce bottle of Coke, and possibly some pens. I take my phone out and text him that the laptop got taken. Stand by for the shit show. Oh, and you reported the theft to the police, FYI, he replies back. Okay, I reply confused. I got about the rest of my day and I don't hear anything back. The following morning Detective Buddy comes to the school with 3 uniformed officers and pull a student, Dave, out of class as well as his mom who works in the front office. The principal is pissed. I don't actually hear the cops, but the principal is pissed to no end that he had the audacity to accuse them of theft, and he couldn't just take them out of his school act. Well, turns out there was a tracker in the laptop bag and Uncle Buddy got a warrant to search a particular house. The laptop had a value of over $1,000, making it a felony. The next afternoon he set up a tent with a table just outside of school grounds. He also had a banner across the top, if you have had something stolen from your locker, see me. By the next morning Dave and his mom made the paper. Apparently Dave allegedly used his mom's login information to get onto the school network and get the locker combinations for basically everyone. Then he just opened random lockers looking for valuables to steal, if he didn't get info of a specific locker to steal from. When he set up the stand to get more people reporting thefts, he racked up an astounding number of charges. Each locker counted as a separate misdemeanor unless the stolen object was worth more than $1,000, in which case it was a felony. In less than a week Uncle Buddy opened and broke an investigation and they charged Dave and his mom with 9 felonies and 35 misdemeanor charges. When I finally got the story from Buddy, he explained what the situation was. He had me stash a brand new laptop that had a GPS tracking unit stuck in it in my locker, then get it stolen deliberately, and then he got a warrant to search the property it had been taken to. Now the fun thing to stress is that the laptop was over $1,000 value, pushing the theft from a misdemeanor into felony level. There was also another 8 felony charges, stuff like jewelry that was stolen from other people's locker and recovered. So any of the locker break-ins that amounted to over $1,000 stolen was a felony charge and less than $1,000 was a misdemeanor charge. Cool thing was that because the calculator and the laptop were sporadic days, and the combination changed between the days, he caught a felony and a misdemeanor charge off me alone. The 9 felony thefts ended up in the $12,000 range total, and the 35 misdemeanor charges were somewhere in the range of $3,000 total in value. Now that's an awful lot of stuff stolen, but I need to stress that this is only what was proven stolen. Like, this is what they caught him with in his possession that they could trace back to someone. They also didn't let them plead to anything. It was Podunkville's highest profile crime in years and without a doubt one of the worst crime sprees the county had seen in decades. Next up on the revenge. Everyone who had been charged $150 get their locker combinations changed sued the school district in a class action lawsuit. The justification was that the school did nothing to investigate the 44, proven, and more than likely 200+ cases of locker theft and then charged money to get the locker combinations changed. There was 218 people in the class and in total everyone got $85 after attorney's fees. The principal also lost his job for being a bonehead and not bothering to attempt to deal with the massive problem that was reported to him going on at the school. The fun thing I need to point out is that the school brought in a locksmith to change out the locks. That's why they justified charging $150. Well, the school already paid the $150 a locker, but they also had to return $100 per locker. Meaning that they were out $21,800 plus their legal fees for that class action suit. Next comes the criminal trial and the fallout. The prosecutor's deal was 10 years in prison, 5 in juvie and 5 in adult prison, for Dave and 15 for Dave's mom. Well, they refused their deal and it went to trial. Dave got 1 year prison for each felony, the state minimum, and 1 month probation for each misdemeanor. So 9 years plus 35 months of probation. His mom received 18 years of jail and 6 years probation. Having attended much of the best parts of the trial, I will say this. They had Dave on camera entering 20 plus lockers and they had them in possession of stolen goods for every single charge they made against them. The judge was also not amused that there was likely other reported crimes that they got away with because they couldn't prove it or they weren't reported. Dave's mom got it worse. That was a fun sentencing to show up for. But the most important thing is that I got my graphing calculator back. It had my name engraved inside the battery compartment. I still have it as well as a cool story to tell. This post is golden. My brother and 6 classmates had lockers in a place called the Wind Tunnel. Those 6 lockers were kicked in and all the books and etc. pulled out and strewn all over the open space. The thefts and vandalism were reported. The books were replaced by the school, older than dirt, and at the end of high school my brother and the other 5 were given a bill that had to be paid to replace books that were 40 years old before diplomas would be released. My brother never got a paper copy of his diploma. Every job he ever had, that actually checked into his high school, as well as his university, requested to know if he had graduated. Not one ever asked to see the paper copy. They wanted transcripts. He said that piece of paper wasn't worth $450. Your post resonated with me. As well, when I was first married I lived in an apartment complex. The custodian was caught elbows deep in my neighbor's underwear drawer and charged. The complex managers tried to convince the girls in that apartment that they had received 24 hours notice of entry to fix their toilet, which wasn't broken. They hadn't. As it turned out, the custodian was a convicted sex offender. Our neighbors moved out. When we gave notice we were moving out, we had lost a boombox and another electronic device from inside the apartment. We had reported them missing and the complex manager was irate that we filed a police report. Our complex consisted of 200 buildings of 8 apartments, each. The irate manager had a son who was using her master keys to rob apartments. We never received our stolen items back. They had been sold or pawned. However, the 6 young men robbing apartments all received felony charges. The manager was fired and charged with criminal negligence. I also don't have a paper diploma. I had lost a library book, went in and paid for it. It was expensive for a kid, like $55 or something. And then they never recorded it and continued to say I owed $55 and placed a hold on my diploma. So I said FM and never got the diploma. All schools want is the transcripts. Hey. I love you. Thanks for watching. I hoped you enjoyed this Reddit audio story. It would mean a lot to me if you could like and subscribe, or better yet, leave a comment about one of the stories. Thanks and I hope you have a wonderfully fantastic day. XOXO.